Tax deed title explained. Imagine you buy a tax deed, you think it's looking good, and all of a sudden there is a $50,000 lien on that property that didn't get wiped out. That's the importance of tax deed title, because the last thing you want to have happen is your profitable tax deed deal have something looming on the title. So we're going to chat about that today. We're going to talk about the dangers and what to avoid, because if you know what they are, can be fairly simple, fairly straightforward. But we see disasters all the time, tax deed sales, where people, they buy something and they think they got the deal of the century, and all of a sudden they don't. There's a $50,000 grass cutting lien or a code violation, or they bought the wrong property, or it's been burnt to the ground, or it's been flooded. There are many disasters that can happen if you don't know what you're doing. But the good news is there are some simple steps to follow to check title. So today what we're going to do, we're going to explain tax deed title, and then we're going to show you guys how to avoid some of the mistakes, answer some of the most common questions, so that when you are out hunting for tax lien and deed deals, you can be prepared like Crocodile Dundee and his knife. So if you're just tuning in, it's Dustin Hahn here, and this channel is here to help you with tax lien and deed investing. We have like 3,400 videos going back, I think, about 10 years. And for anybody that tunes in, we always give away a free book called The ABCs of Tax Lien and Deed Investing. It's always below in the description to help you get started there. And we're excited to dive in today and help you guys find some deals. So we're going to bring in the auction master himself right now, Mr. Josh Blanchard. How you doing today? Does Josh have glasses now? Oh, they're the blockers. We can't hear you, Josh. Muted.
Fantastic. Good. There we go. Yeah.
Looking sharp. Sophisticated.
Yeah, sophisticated look. Protect Excellent. My vision.
This is how we know we're going to get some good answers. Pop on the glasses and away we go. So let's just get into it. Josh has been deep down the title rabbit holes. He's done trainings at the law offices of counties, or what do you call it, the title inspectors, researched hundreds of properties, maybe thousands at this point. And we see a lot of mistakes. So Josh, maybe we kick it off and share with them just what some of the biggest mistakes that you see are, and then we'll at the same time share with them how to avoid that, and then answer some of the questions.
Yeah, good question. I think that probably one of the biggest mistakes that people make is assuming that how one county does things is how every county does things. And the reason it's such a tricky topic, or the reason it can be so complicated, is because not all of the states are the same. And so some states, they will wipe out county code violations. They'll wipe out liens and things like that, where other counties may not do the same thing. And so let's say if you're investing in Pennsylvania, a lot of times in Pennsylvania, they will wipe out code enforcement liens. And if you were to think, okay, maybe everywhere it does that, but Florida does not. And so in Florida, there could be like really big grass cutting liens, and some counties charge interest on those liens while other counties don't. And so I guess you could say, like, the building blocks of this are pretty similar, throughout the entire country. But yeah, not everybody does it the same way. And so if someone was to just simply attend an auction and bid on something without doing any due diligence, they're playing Russian roulette. They may get away fine, or it could be a very costly lesson. And so some properties, you may have a vacant piece of land that's been abandoned for a decade. And if the county is not strict, they might just allow that to exist without a code enforcement lien. We bought a property in Arkansas once, and as soon as we were like 1 inch beyond the mandated height for grass, we got hit with a lien. And so, that could be your property that you acquire at an auction, where the county is very much so on it, and they hand out code violation liens like candy. Or you could get a property where there should be liens and there's none. And so, you could take a state like Florida, where they don't wipe code enforcement liens, and one county could be really strict, and another county could just let people do what they want and not actually go after people. So it really is Russian roulette without doing any due diligence. And if someone acquired a property, without doing any kind of title search, you never know what you're going to find. So it could be fine or it could be terrible. But that's the biggest thing is people just going in and looking at how much a property is worth and then bidding against only that and not actually factoring anything else in.
Excellent. This is one of the scariest things for folks when they get into tax lien and deed investing is obviously figuring out what's going on the title. And the beauty of buying a tax deed property is it wipes out the mortgage and it wipes out a lot of liens. However, the key thing to keep in mind here is the county is not the biggest fan of wiping out their own liens, like Josh was saying. So one of the other things that you can do though is like he was mentioning, if there's a giant grass cutting lien, maybe it's a piece of land, it's been sitting there, and maybe the reason it hasn't sold is because of this, 20, 30, $40,000 grass cutting lien. And maybe it's sitting in inventory as an over-the-counter tax deed. And one of the things that you can do is you can go in and talk to the code violation department and say, listen, this thing is, well, maybe don't say listen. Say, listen here. I'll show you how this works. You could say, hey guys, this thing has been sitting here for 3-4 years. You're not collecting anything off it. And obviously you have this massive grass cutting lien. Do me a favor. I'll buy this property. If you waive the lien, we'll get it back on the tax roll. I want to build on this property or, basically make it a part of the ecosystem again. Sometimes they will actually waive that lien and sign off on it. So that's always an option as well. So look into that proactively before you buy a property. And it could be a way for, there's an opportunity in disguise on those. So Josh, tax deed title question: what liens and debts get wiped out at a tax deed sale and which ones stick after you buy?
Yeah, maybe I could even just show our little handy dandy priority chart too. This is pretty sweet.
Perfect. And for anybody who's tuning in, let us know what city and state you're tuning in from. Let me know what questions you have. We're happy to answer those here as well. And hit thumbs up if you you like the video and you like the content. And remember, there is the directories below in the description, the tax lien and deed directory and the deed directory. So you can crack it open, call any county you want, and get down to business when it comes to finding some sales. Let's see, Josh, we have your screen here.
Beautiful. Yeah. Will it oh nice. Yeah, I don't have the okay, fantastic. All right. So this is a great screenshot to take right here because this is more or less the hierarchy when it comes to a tax deed sale. And so at the very top, we've got the county. And so they recorded first, they have priority over everybody else. And so if you think about it like this, they're at the top, they have the power to wipe out everything below them. And so that's why when we find liens, we find judgments, if someone's going to court, a lot of this stuff seems or sounds scary, but the county has priority. And so they're able to wipe out liens and judgments. Mortgages, they have the ability to wipe out the HOA. And then, of course, we know the homeowner. And so because they're at the top, the biggest question we always have is, are they going to wipe out themselves? We know that they're going to wipe out the taxes. That's what the opening bid is. It's the taxes, interest, and penalties. But how are they going to handle code enforcement liens? How are they going to handle code violations? So if we take a place like Texas, they will not wipe themselves out. That doesn't mean we should just go ahead and pay, though. As Dustin mentioned, we should always negotiate. We've had students that have had $20,000 in code enforcement liens and get it down to $2,000, or they've just had the county wipe it out. So it's not that we're going to go ahead and willingly pay for it, but we do have to budget it because that's the worst case scenario is that we have to pay for it. So Texas, they are not going to wipe out their code enforcement liens. So we have to set aside that capital. Same thing with Florida. Florida is not going to wipe out municipal liens. But you take a place like Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania is more likely to wipe out their code enforcement liens. And a lot of times, the opening bid is the back taxes. And if they were to not wipe out code enforcement liens, nobody would actually buy properties because they are so aggressive in Philadelphia with handing out code enforcement violations. And they have huge numbers, really, really big numbers, especially water liens as well. You take another place like Michigan, Michigan is also going to wipe out their own interest in the property. They're going to wipe out code enforcement liens. And so that's why it's not necessarily one size fits all. So no matter where you are in the country, that's always the first question that you want to answer is how does the county respond to municipal obligations? Do they wipe them out or do they not? Because it will be different from state to state. And so we just gave you a few examples of how those states treat it. But that is the big thing to look out for. It's not necessarily the scary big liens that you see or contractors liens, and mortgage companies or second mortgages. All of that, they're going to get notifications from the county, and they all have the ability and they have the chance to pay the back taxes to stop the foreclosure from happening. And so if they don't do that, that is essentially wiping out their, their interest, you could call it, in the property. And yeah, so it's always the county that we are worried about. But yeah, take a screenshot of this. It's a powerful pyramid and can be very helpful.
Sweet. Next question, tax deed title. Do I really need title insurance on a tax deed, or is the deed itself protection enough?
Yeah, it really depends what you're looking to do. And so for somebody who wants to acquire something and hold on to it for a long time, for instance, let's say you want to buy it and you want to fix it up yourself and you want to rent it, or you acquire something at a deep discount and there's a tenant inside already and you're happy to just collect rent and not do anything, then it's not really necessary at all. You don't need to necessarily have title insurance, and after an extended period of time, those kinds of issues won't matter. But if you are looking to sell it, and not sell it as is, if you're looking to sell it to someone and they want to do something other than just pay cash, they need a lender, then you're going to need title insurance. If you're looking to actually pull equity out, if you're looking to get let's say like a HELOC, like a line of credit, or you're looking to pull really anything out of it, nobody's going to be able to lend you money unless you have title insurance, which would then require tax title services. So it really depends on what you want to do. So it's a yes and no kind of situation. Sometimes people are interested in buying property for the right price without title insurance. So you could sell something for cash. We've done that before. We've seen students do that before. And yeah, so if you want to pull out equity, if you want to pull out money, if you want to involve any banks or your buyer wants to involve a bank, then you will need title insurance for sure, but you don't always need it.
Excellent. Good stuff. We got some folks tuning in. Rick, good to see you here. We got Sherry in Cincinnati looking to find a farm in Virginia. Stumbled onto this information. Well, we happen to have a lot of information on Cincinnati. We've done a lot of deals there. So as far as finding a farm in Virginia, if that's something that you're interested in, obviously one of the simplest things you can do is locate the area in which you're looking for a farm, find out what county that's in. And then from here, we have our deed directory, which is available for everybody. And you can crack it open to Virginia, get the phone numbers of the county and the assessor, call them up and ask them, when is the tax deed sale? So this is below in the description. It's totally free to help you out. Ask them when the tax deed sale is, get the information. And then from there, if you're dealing with liens as well, you can call them up if it's tax liens you're interested in. And then remember, in a tax lien state, you would be buying, I don't remember, Virginia tax lien or deed?
I think it is. I think I have no idea, actually, the top of my head.
If it
Because
is
there's two,
a,
right?
what's
One of
that?
them is lien and one of them is deed. I have to
Some
go in
kind
the
of
vault.
states do both here. So if you're dealing with a tax lien, you would buy the tax lien on the property, and then if they don't redeem you, they would foreclose. However, you probably don't want to wait that long. And one of the things there is if somebody has a tax lien, there's a chance they might be a motivated seller. So you could send them a letter in the mail and offer to buy the property and possibly get a discount. Let's see, who do we have here? Yeah, Greenberry County or Greenbeer County. I probably said that wrong. Greenberry. And Russell County, Virginia. Good stuff, guys. Let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from, if you have any questions as well, and we can get into those. Let's see. So Josh, on a tax deed, what is a cloud on title? And how do you know if a property has a cloud or not?
Yeah. So when we think about the pyramid from before, so we know that the tax sale has the power to wipe out all of these different things, right? They have the power to wipe out a mortgage. But what happens regularly is that once a mortgage is paid off, the mortgage company gives you a release and they file that on title so that everybody knows that this mortgage has now been paid off. And so when the county sends it to a tax sale, what is happening is you could call it a break in the chain of title. And so even though the mortgage company is now removed, the mortgage has been canceled, it's no longer applies, the mortgage company didn't do a release, right? Or if there's a mechanics lien, mechanics lien is canceled by the tax sale, but they still don't do a release. So all of this stuff is still there. It's still sitting on title. So when a title company looks, they may see, this person bought it 10 years ago. They didn't pay their mortgage, but there's still a mortgage on title. They got a couple liens with, XYZ. So all of that is still there. And then all of a sudden they see that there's a new owner. It was sold at a tax sale, but all that stuff is there in the past. And so there's a break in the chain of title because none of that got cleared away. And so those are the things that they're going to need to be satisfied, you could say. A title company is going to need to see that these things no longer have an interest. So they are canceled by the tax sale, but when you like visually look and you look at the chain of title, everything is still there. And so that's why you get either A, the quiet title action, or B, tax title services, so that all of a sudden, all of those things that are in the past are no longer an issue. So the more that you have on title, the more clouds that you'll have. And so if a title company sees that there's actually nothing there, only the homeowner, there's no mortgage companies, there's no liens, there's no court, no one's suing anybody. It's fairly simple. And so they may be more lenient to actually give title insurance. But the more stuff you have on there, the more that will cloud it, which will really increase the need for tax title services or a quiet title action. And there's kind of like different levels to it as well. And so something like a mortgage, that's easy to clean up. But if you think about a will or an estate, we were looking at a title just a week ago in Texas where there was a transfer through an estate, but there was people maybe from like 5 years ago who were trying to challenge the estate. They were trying to say that they had an interest in the property, and there was someone who had multiple wives, and all of those children were trying to say that they had a claim too. So this would be a more severe cloud on title versus something like a mortgage. So there's different levels, and anytime you're involving an estate, that is going to complicate things further. And so even though there is a solution, which is tax title services or quiet title action, these things do have different levels of severity as far as the clouding goes.
Excellent. So a lot of folks wonder, all right, how do we go find some tax deed sales? So I'll just share with you guys a bit of a map here to help you see what's going on here. So we have Virginia, which is going to be tax deeds. And we created this interactive map to help you guys find tax liens and deeds. And we also have an auction calendar as well that has upcoming sales. So you can scroll down, everybody can see a week of sales going on. We can see the first Tuesday of the month. As we can see here, today's the 11th. We have some happening in Florida, Hillsborough County. And from here, say you want to be in Virginia or any tax lien and deed county, all you have to do is click on it. It'll tell you the details. And then when you click here, it's going to take you, we have thousands of articles and the details on all of the counties within the state. So you just need to come, click on it. We have the bidding procedure, all the details on every single county. So super interactive on liens and deeds. The easiest way to get there, head over to taxlienschool.com, click on this knowledge vault. And this is really our gift to the tax lien and deed community, this interactive map. We have a team that runs it, and it's free for you guys to use and come up to speed on when it comes to getting started. So Tax Lien School, you can always go there and grab that if you want to go. Let us know, guys, if you have any questions, where you're tuning in from. We got Los Angeles here tuning in as well. So somebody's saying here, next question is, what's the difference between a quiet title action and just getting title insurance? And when would I need each one?
Yeah. So quiet title action is when you go through, let's say, the judicial process through court. And so, what the real estate attorney does is they have to prove that your interest is superior to everyone else's. And if you think about the word quiet, you could think of it as like like shushing all of the other people that are on title. And so even though it goes to a tax sale and the tax sale wipes out the mortgage, you go through court to prove that your interest is actually superior. And so once you go through that process, now you're able to get title insurance. And so if you want to do anything relatively quickly, say within, less than a year of owning a tax deed, you're probably going to need to either do the quiet title action or tax title services. So tax title services is the alternative to the quiet title action, and they're much quicker, it's much cheaper and faster. Where a quiet title action could take 3 to 6 months, tax title services will take about 30 days. But you're going to want to do that if you want to get title insurance. Otherwise, you could just simply wait it out and you'll maybe be able to get title insurance down the road. But yeah, you can always try selling something as is first. You don't necessarily need to get a quiet title action done. But yeah, if you want to prove that your interest is superior to everyone else's, get that warranty deed, get title insurance, then you'll need to do that first. And then title insurance, that's just simply a title company willing to insure the transfer. So they would then say that we will insure this so that if anybody comes from the past, we'll handle it. We'll deal with it. So if there's a mortgage company, for instance, that just comes out of the woodwork, they would handle that. A great example is we bought a property in Cincinnati, Ohio. We bought it with title insurance, which means they are going to handle anything that arises. Anything that's from the past that comes up, they will handle it. So you can imagine we were really surprised when we saw our property that we recently bought getting foreclosed on. It was on a foreclosure website, going to an auction.
Tax auction, right?
It was a mortgage foreclosure.
Oh, mortgage foreclosure.
And so we had just bought it and had title insurance. So we sent it to the title company. And because they offered that warranty, because they give us insurance, they actually had to pay off that mortgage. They missed it. And so I think it was maybe like $27,000 or $30,000 left. And so they had to go ahead and eat that and pay for it, which was pretty wild. And so that's what it is. It's insurance. If anything comes up in the past, they will then protect you and handle it. So if that's you can only get that through either A, waiting it out, or B, going with the quiet title action / tax title services.
Excellent. So what type of cost for tax deed title insurance or to clear a title should these guys budget?
Yeah, tax title services is going to be the cheapest option. So that's $2,000. And so it's different. With the quiet title action, you're actually going through court. And so you have a real estate attorney or you have an attorney doing that process for you. So a little bit more expensive. Tax title services, about $2,000. Quiet title action, you should budget anywhere between $3,000 to $6,000. The reason it might fluctuate is we talked about the severity of the cloud on title. So the more stuff that you have going on, the more active, interested parties, especially if there's a will. Let's say you have 20 people on title. If you have something like that, it's going to take more time, more money. But if there's nobody on title, there's not really anything going on. It's just a homeowner. That's really all that there is. Then it's very quick. And so that's why there's a difference in price. It could just be how much is going on.
Excellent. Good stuff, guys. If you're liking this, do us a favor, hit the thumbs up. And if you're wondering kind of where to start as well, we can help you with that. We know there's thousands of counties. So we do offer a 90-day blueprint that will be customized for you. And we can show you what counties to start in and give you a personalized 7-step checklist to get started to help you out. We can tell you what counties to go to, what counties to avoid. This is a 90-day freedom blueprint. So you guys can always schedule a free call, That's in the description below as well if you want to check that out. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat there as well. Let's see, Josh, do HOA, condo association, or city? We answered the one about the city ones. We'll answer with tax deeds. Do homeowner association or condo association fees go away when sold at the tax deed sale?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, So if we remember the pyramid that we looked at before, we did see that the HOA is fairly close to the bottom as far as the priority goes. They're right above the homeowner. So the HOA has less power than like liens, judgments, mortgage companies. They're fairly close to the bottom, which means that they should get wiped out from the tax sale. And the only reason they wouldn't is if the county or the attorneys doing the work, because each one of these properties that ends up at a tax sale, they go through the judicial foreclosure process, which means an attorney pulls a title search and then they send notifications. And so as long as the HOA gets notifications, that would then wipe them out because their priority is below, and so they should be wiped out. We have seen a couple times, especially in Texas, where the county did not send notifications to the HOA. And it's the notifications is what actually wipes them out. So they have to receive that certified mail. And all of this is generally in court records, and you can always go and see that for yourself. But they have to receive a notification from the attorneys simply letting them know this property is going to a tax sale, and that if you want to protect your HOA lien, you have to pay the taxes to stop it, and then you can sort this out down the road. And so, yeah, as far as the hierarchy goes, it should get wiped out, and then we laid out the reason why they may not. And some students of ours actually bought a property in Texas. There was an HOA lien, and they were not notified of the tax sale. So technically, their interest does not get wiped, but the idea was, okay, let's just approach them, let them know that this went to a tax sale, and see if we can get the HOA liens reduced. And the same thing happened that we mentioned before with the lien with the county, that they did reduce it down. And so you never want to go ahead and pay anything just willingly. Always try to negotiate, but they got it pretty much erased, which was really helpful. And so, yeah, they don't have much power as far as the hierarchy goes, but they should get wiped, but that won't always be the case.
Excellent. So, Josh, when it comes to tax liens, people are wondering, do you need to do a title search if you're buying tax lien certificates where there's less risk?
Yeah, so there's definitely less risk when it comes to tax liens because you're going to be getting it for the back taxes. But what we have to think about is how long do I have to wait until I foreclose? Because let's say you buy a tax lien on a piece of land and it's overgrown. You've got overgrown grass, it looks like a jungle, and you can't foreclose on it for 3 years, let's say. What that means is if the county won't wipe out their own municipal liens, you got to think, okay, 3 years from now, there's going to be, thousands and thousands of dollars perhaps in grass cutting liens. And so you just simply need to factor that into the equation. If you're buying a house that's vacant and it's not, in good condition, in Wyoming, maybe where it's 5 years, you got to wait 5 years before you can foreclose on a tax lien in Wyoming. What could happen is if the property is unsafe, the county could come along and say, this property needs to be in good condition. It's a hazard. It's not safe. We're going to demolish it if nothing happens. And so that's where there's a little bit of this tension. And so that's what you always want to be careful of. And so you could research the title. And if there's no municipal liens, then, it's good. So there is a lot less risk, but you always want to be thinking forward, thinking, okay, what could happen in the next, 3 to 5 years? And that's why over the counter tax liens are so great because you could foreclose, quickly. And so that's a great alternative. But that's kind of the response there. And yeah, do that title search for sure, but there is less risk because you are going to get it for such a good price.
Nice, nice. Yeah, somebody's saying here, if you buy in another state, do you have to fly out there to check title? No. These days, pretty much every county website is going to be online. If you do find a very small county where maybe they can't, like they'll probably be able to email it to you or fax it to you. And from there, if you're if you're finding a county that's requiring you to go in person, you know, unless it's like the big slam dunk deal with 20, 50, $100,000, just find another county. It would be the way to go there. Let's see, what else do we have? Josh, can the old owner of the property come back years later and attack my title? How am I protected?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so what we look for when we're doing our own title search is looking to see, you know, is there anybody in the past that's like challenged title, for instance? And so that would be filed on title, or there could be, we mentioned earlier that example of the heirs, or you have an estate, and if someone's challenging it, you know, that would then be a red flag. And so that could be something you might just want to, you know, potentially walk away from. But that stuff is pretty rare. You know, usually when you are looking at a property, you know, it's one owner or it's just been one transfer from time, you know, from time on, or that just continually happens. But anytime you start to see an estate and a whole bunch of interested parties, it's a little bit trickier. And so that could be a bit of a red flag. You might want to rethink that one. Or, you know, if it's pretty clean, there's just like a few heirs, then that would be fine. But getting title insurance sooner than later would be quite helpful if you've got something like that. If you've got a lot of different people on title who you think could come back and challenge the tax sale. And so reaching out to tax title services is great. They're the best first option. And then if that won't work out, then going the quiet title action route is going to be a good idea.
Excellent. Good stuff. Good stuff. Welcome, guys. We've been doing some tax deed title. If you missed it, you can always scooch back and check it out. Yeah, appreciate you making the comment here. And we got lots of good information for you guys coming down the pipeline. So last question here is, Josh, for tax deed title, what are the exact steps I take after I win the bid on the tax deed to ensure that I have clear title in my name?
Yeah, great question. So you buy a tax deed, you get it, you get the deed in your name, it arrives in the mail. You want to go ahead and contact tax title services. They do work in most of the states. There's a few examples or situations where they may not be able to offer their services. So you want to start there, tax title services. If they are not able to help, then you want to go ahead and go down the quiet title action route. And I recommend finding an attorney that specializes in that. Because if you find an attorney that occasionally does one every so often, they're probably going to charge more. But if you deal with a real estate attorney who does that like regularly, that's their bread and butter, you'll be able to find someone that's more experienced, probably a little bit of a better rate. And I think it'll just work out a little bit better. But that's really it. Once you acquire it, and then they'll be able to guide you and then get you that title insurance and make sure that nothing is defective, for instance.
Excellent. So if other interested parties initiate the sale, do they also need to make all notifications? And would that be posted on the county site? So as far as other parties initiate the sale, you know, that could be like if there's a mortgage on the property that's in default, they could, you know, initiate a foreclosure sale. And remember, if you buy at a foreclosure sale, you inherit everything, all of the debts, all of the liens, everything like that. So as far as if there's ever going to be another party initiating the sale, um, obviously they are going to have to notify everybody as well. That will be part of their process. And their lien and their record of serving people would be on the title of the property. So yeah, that's really kind of the only time you're going to see another sale initiated is if it's a mortgage or an HOA or a lender on the property. So good stuff, guys. We wanted to just explain some title here. That's a big black box when it comes to this type of investing. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. And remember, below here is the mini course, the directory with the book. If you guys don't have it, go grab that there. It'll walk you through everything step by step. Or if you already have the book, you can get a blueprint and we'll just show you where to go to get started. It's personalized and it'll walk you through everything step by step, show you the counties, show you what to avoid as well. and break it down into a checklist. That's in the description below. We appreciate everybody hopping on, and it's time to get to work, find some deals, come back with some questions, and we'll see you guys on the next live. See you guys.